morning and welcome back. Today we're actually going to be cutting up these logs here that I think you might have seen in the previous video. If you haven't, go check that out. But we had some guests here, and I would actually call them friends now. Had them do some work on pulling some trees out here to learn how to run an excavator. And now that I've got them out of the way, and I've got to go ahead and take and cut the stumps off of them, and then I'm going to measure these up for 16 inches to cut up for firewood. We're going to drop them into my little trailer that I've made for the side-by-side and get them all cut up, taken care of, so they can start drying out for next year's campfires. Going to use the excavator to hold these things up. So as I cut them, hopefully I can cut them and drop them right back into the trailer. And then we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do old school log splitting. I know most of you guys that watch any kind of log splitting or wood channels, you know, you like to see all them big processors, firewood processors and log splitters and everything like that. But I think we're going to do it old school today, and going to use something that you guys may have seen before on Adam's channel over at Hometown Acres. But we're going to use my tire I made that's raised up and allows me to split a whole bunch of logs at one time in that thing. So stick around and we'll get this thing all cut up, get it processed for campfires next year. So I'm going to go ahead and mark these logs up, and I don't know if you've seen in, I'm sure you have, in a couple of Adam's videos over on Hometown Acres, I made my own loggers tape, and what it is just a really cheap Stanley 35-foot tape measure. I think it came to about $8, and all I did was I took the normal end off of it and I bent up my own little tab, put a spike in the end of it there, and I don't know if you can see that very well, but put a spike in it so I can hook it to the end of the logs, and then at each 16-inch marking I spray painted that so it stands out real bright and clear as you're going down to mark the logs. And I've added a little chain to it, hook it to my belt loop, so that way if I drop it or don't need it or whatever, it's there. But if you go on Amazon and look for a logger's tape, they're around $35 to $65, and as much as I use it, it just wasn't worth spending that kind of money on. So we're going to go ahead and go down here and mark this, actually mark both of these logs off. I'm going to try to get it, I've got the both ends lined up pretty closely, so we're going to go ahead and mark these off and get it ready to cut them up. Alright, so I know some people, when they mark their logs, they do it all differently. I just do it this way just because it's a lot easier for me, and it may be a suggestion for you guys, but I always seem to have a can of spray paint laying around the garage left over from a project that's an odd color that I may never use again. So that's usually what I grab to mark out my 16-inch lengths. I know some people out there use chalk, some people use the little measuring tool, all that. I've actually just found it easier to take my tape measure, my spray can, and I get a pretty consistent, even 16 inches. I know some of you guys out there can do this just by eye and looking at it and get it close enough, but I just like to do it by measuring it out and marking it and cutting it up. So Before we get to cutting it up, I'd like to point one thing out. Hey Adam, I got my chaps on. Get off my back. I want to go ahead and try and pick these things up and cut them off and lump them right into the back of the trailer. That way I don't have to handle them twice or do any extra work. So I got a little help today, and I think Autumn might either run the trailer or the excavator. One way or another, we're going to swing these logs over that trailer so I can cut them off and not have to pick them up twice or do all kinds of extra bending over. So let's go ahead and get these things bucked up. We're going to go ahead and start cutting these off and dropping them right into the trailer. I got Autumn up there in the excavator, and she's just going to drive forward as I cut so I can lop them right into the trailer. It'll eliminate me having to pick them up off the ground and throw them back into the trailer again. Does it make sense? I don't know. It takes two people, but it's a beautiful day out, so we both wanted to come out here and enjoy the sunshine for whatever remainder time we got left of it here. So let's go ahead and get started on dropping these into the trailer and at least reducing one step by walking around and picking them all up. Alright, so you can see, got all those logs cut up, and they're in the back of the trailer. Didn't have to cut them on the ground, didn't have a whole lot of bending over to do to cut them up. Kept the chain up out of the dirt. Didn't make a mess all over the ground, and literally didn't have to go back and re-pick them up after I cut them. So, special thanks to my beautiful excavator operator here, Autumn, for helping me out with that.
What's a man got to do? What's a man got to do to get a woman like you? If I have to beg, or if I have to plead,
Well, there you go. Got myself a nice trailer load of wood, and I think this thing is 4 feet by 6 feet. Trailer that I custom fabricated. It was one of those Tractor Supply store type of trailers. Welded up some angle sides on it, the back, and so forth, and it's got the metal mesh in the bottom, but I put a sheet of polypropylene in it for hauling dirt and stuff around. But anyhow, so this setup works really nice for heading up into the woods, wherever. When I've got down trees, I can pull them out. And oh, we can't forget the excavator. Man, those things sure do make it nice for cutting wood when you can hold them up, hold the logs up, that is, and drop them right into the trailer. Eliminates the sore back at the end of the day. But I did that just so it would save me for coming over here and splitting wood in my tire contraption that I made. I know other people split out of tires, but what I did with this one was put it up on blockings so the debris that falls out can be dumped out of the sides, so that I don't have to keep digging it out of the bottom of the tire or flipping it over. But either way, we're going to go ahead and split some of these up here shortly and throw it into some baskets. I'm thinking that maybe one basket will do for all this wood here. So let me go get a drink of water and we'll be back and start splitting. All right, now as kids, we used to split wood, and as we would split it on the ground, things would tip over. You'd bend back over and have to stand it back up, hit it again, tip over, pick it up. So this is not my idea, but to use a tire. And what I've done with this, and you might have seen it in Adam's video, but I basically just blocked it up. So it's on some 2x4s on a sheet of plywood. Two things that does, as you've seen, as soon as I tipped it, the chafe and whatever, the small stuff fell out of it. But the other thing it does is it gets it up just a little bit higher, and also with having the plywood on the ground, it keeps you from pounding holes and everything into the ground when you're splitting each piece of wood. So that 3/4 inch sheet of plywood on the bottom with the tire raised up, you've seen how I had the whole tire loaded, and I went through and that whole tire gave me one layer in the bottom of the basket already. So it makes it a lot simpler. There's no chasing logs and pieces that fall over when you split them. And I mean, we've got a bunch here to hand split, so we'll go through, load up the tire, split them, throw them into the basket. You might ask, well, why in the world are you doing all the hand splitting? Because I enjoy the exercise, because I don't burn firewood for a living or to heat the house at this point in my life. I used to for many years, and I got rid of my outdoor wood boiler furnace. So now I just do it for fun, for campfire wood, for the exercise. And for those of you that want to go back and say, well, wait a minute, you used the excavator and you cut them and split them right into the back of the wagon. Well, That's because I'm getting old and I needed to save my back to be able to hand split them. And there's actually a little bit more of exercise in hand splitting, in my opinion. So that's why we're doing the hand splitting, and that's how we're going to do it. So I will probably throw you on a time lapse and get some done here. There you have it, full basket of firewood, which I believe that if I'm correct, Adam over at Hometown Acres tells me that's about a third of a cord, and empty trailer other than some sawdust and the tire that held them all up while I was splitting them. So I'm not gonna lie, I am tired. We used to do this as kids when we were pre-teen and teenagers, and everything we did was split by hand with splitting mauls, and a lot of times back then we used the big metal wedge, and as kids you would veer off the side of that metal wedge and you spent more time looking for the darn thing than you did splitting wood. But nowadays we've got these big heavy-handed mauls or splitting mauls here, and this is a Fisker's isocore, and I like that for really big rounds. And then I've got this one here, it's got the regular splitting wedge head on it. It's lighter, you can swing it a lot faster, you can swing it a lot more times during the day. So I guess more than anything, I just really enjoy splitting by hand. Don't get me wrong, if I was going to be doing this all day, I would definitely want a wood splitter. But you know, just for a couple hours here, it's really good exercise to get you outside, get you breathing, and I guess really enjoy doing it. But if you guys like the video, and I know I'm not in these videos for doing firewood, so I'm not in competition with Adam or Mike Morgan or any of them guys, but I guess I had some logs that needed cut up and needed to get them split and stored for firewood. But if you do like the videos, give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe. If you're not already a subscriber, boy, I sure could use your help in the subscription department. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.